The latest episode of Star Trek Lower Decks is Season 5, Episode 6 of Gods and Angels. So, the premise of the episode, the Cerritos is conducting peace negotiations between two societies of energy-based non-corporeal beings. So they got cubes and spheres. So yeah. And that's the backdrop of all of this. And there's also a relatively new ensign on board who is causing some problems, making messes and all that. The Cerritos is the sixth ship she's been transferred to, and Captain Freeman's like, well, let's transfer her again. Mariner, on the other hand, one grabs Captain Freeman's pad out of her hand and looks at the ensign's, personnel history, even though she doesn't have the clearance to do so. It's Mariner, go figure. And she's like, no, let me try to help her and all that. And so that's the premise, the plot line of the episode, the main plot line. Mariner taking this ensign, who she sees a lot of herself in, under her wing to try to help her become a better officer, to find her place in Starfleet, all that. Well, I forget the ensign's name. I should have written it down, but why would I? Anyhow, she's a demigod, so way back in the original series, if you remember, the Enterprise encountered the Greek gods. Well, apparently one of them had a child who eventually decides at some point to join Starfleet, and her power is she can make really crappy lightning bolts. Yeah. She's embarrassed of her power and all that, and so yeah. Well, anyhow, Mariner tries her best. She actually does succeed in some ways, but this ensign is, she's so concerned about making a bad impression, she's making a bad impression. And like for example, she's 30 minutes late to meeting up with Mariner, but we find out that's because she went to the quarters of the cube that they were supposed to unlock the door and babysit, because it was the cube was the child, the daughter, I believe, of one of the leader cube. Anyhow, and so she went there first and hid some evidence because she was panicking. I don't think Mariner would have ever done that, but Mariner definitely would do some stupid stuff, though normally not out of panic. But anyhow, the room is a mess, so they're convinced there's a murder investigation now, but they need to keep it on the down low because of the peace talks. So the ensign actually volunteers to do it, and actually makes sense. Mariner agrees that, yeah, they'll lower down the radar and all that, they'll be able to investigate, but it does not go well. They end up causing the hostilities to resume between them. And I had this thought, like, well, could this cube be making friends with one of the spheres, especially once we learn that one of the spheres is missing as well? Yeah, it turns out, and apparently, not only did they get together, but they already had a child in the showtime who is half cube, half sphere. So, there's probably a technical name for that shape, but yeah, I thought it would have been like, one of those rounded spheres where you still get the 6 sides, but the sides are rounded. That I thought that would have been neat, but they didn't do that. But anyhow, at the very end, because of the mess she caused him with evidence, the ensign said to the brig, even though, she did solve the problem. Well, Mariner also, I think, did a lot of solving. Really, what truly solved at least the conflict between the spheres and the cubes is the two sphere, the sphere and the cube who got together and fell in love. They came, asked everyone what's going on, and presented their child. And then, of course, what do the sphere and cube leaders do? They just start basically being grandparents and wanting to spoil their grandchild. That's essentially what they start doing. It is just, a hilarious concept. But I should also say, during their fight, the spheres and cubes, they go out of the Cerritos and form a big cube and a big sphere. Very unoriginal. Ransom actually has a line like they lack originality or something along those lines. But anyhow, the ensign, who's actually not really stood out for much command kind of stuff and all that, but wants to be an engineer, is really good with electricity despite having, often causing things to short circuit. devises a plan in order to, basically drain the kids and spheres of their energy so that way they could stop fighting, and it works. But like I said, because of tampering with the evidence that was suspected to be a crime scene, she is thrown in the brig, and of course, Mariner's giving her advice like, yeah, that bed's actually, the bench is actually quite comfortable, because Mariner has that experience, and Mariner decides she's going to stick around to try to get to know this ensign a little better as well. And the ensign has this line where the brig is her favorite place, and Mariner is like, yep, something like, no, that one, or something along those lines. But really, a big part of this episode is Mariner basically seeing another version of herself in a different way. Yes, she's seen that alternate universe of her who was, basically became, very strict and all that and not fun at all, but who also by being so strict was just totally miserable and was willing to, run away to another universe where she could just, be lovably insubordinate once again. So she's got to see that version of herself, but here, this is more of a, I would say, more of a proper foil in a narrative sense, as she sees a character who embodies lots of the traits that she once experienced, insubordination, making a mess. So with Mariner is more of an act, not actual problems, but Mariner identifies that she just needs somebody to believe in her and that will help her. And part of, I think, Mariner's character growth in becoming a better Starfleet officer has to do with the fact that she has friends who cares about her and actually want her to succeed, rather than her parents. She needed somebody who wasn't, already a superior to her, whether it be in Starfleet or in family relationships, to be supporting her. And here Mariner sees somebody who needs some encouragement from somebody who's a little higher than her, a little more experienced, but not super high up. And works out pretty well, though I do wonder if we're going to see more of this ensign. There's also another line going on with Boimler. Basically, he's been reading the tablet that he stole from the alternative Cerritos, and basically he's trying to copy that universe's Boimler to try to get ahead. He's going to come to a reckoning with that at some point. I just feel it. But, him and Rutherford learned the wrong lesson from it, which Tendi rightfully points out. I swear, I think Tendi and Tallinn are the only two people with common sense on the Cerritos at times. Tallinn has some small moments here, nothing too major, but going back to Boimler, he learned that his alternate universe self made friends with Tiana, the doctor. So what does he decide to do? Well, he has to be friends with the doctor now too. It goes badly, but it also works out because going back to the Mariner plot, the ensign, using her powers, temporarily tries to drain them of the spheres and cubes of their power, but it fails and they actually get really mad and all of that. But anyhow, Boimler accidentally gets a lightning bolt stuck up in his rear end. Yeah, and Tiana removes it. And he actually does, earn some respect from her and is actually invited to her book club. So he's making progress, though. It was either Rutherford earlier in the story or Tendi who points out that this is just the Hawaii thing all over again, which it is. He needs to relearn that lesson. And this time, the problem for Boimler is he's thinking, oh, I ain't being myself. But he's not being himself from his universe. And that's why he's going to come to a reckoning with all that at some point. And Rutherford, you learned the wrong lesson from Boimler's success. He just happened to fail upward in this situation. It's not always going to work out. Hopefully, Tendi and Tallinn and Mariner will be able to talk some sense into them. I can see it going really bad, they're going really funny. But that's pretty much all I got. There's some other small things I could discuss, but you know what? Let's expand the discussion into the comment section down below, where I would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and live long and prosper. Thank you for watching my video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a like and share. Also, consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date on all my latest content. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the force be with you, always.